Hello and welcome to Filling in the Gaps. I'm Justin.
I'm Darren.
Today we are going to discuss a game called Ether 1. Ether 1 is from dev and publisher White Paper Games. It was released around March of 2014. I don't think there's any recent reviews for this one, but all reviews mostly positive, but only 295 reviews, which I'm kind of surprised. I thought a lot of people played this game.
Evidently not. It seems, or they haven't been bothered to write a review about it.
It's $20 at base. I would definitely not pay that for it. What would you recommend people buy this at?
10? Half price sale, maybe?
Yes, I want to go for 5.
I mean, I go for 1 or free, but I mean, reasonably, I got about 10 hours out of the game, so $10 I would be happy enough to pay for it. 20 is a bit steep.
Yes. I love the look of the game. I think that they did a great job with that. I think that the first section is quite good. A little weird, but quite good. And then the game just becomes very weird in a way that's not like, ooh, this is one of Darren's weird indie games. It's just some really unusual choices they made as far as gameplay. We won't get into it now because we're still in the spoiler-free section. But I will say that the primary reason I would want to play the game is easily skipped.
Yeah, exactly. I've written down here in big black letters, this is a game of oxymorons, man. It just contradicts itself entirely the whole way through it. What a bizarre game.
Which leads me to more describe this game as a walking sim as opposed to a puzzle game, even though there are a ton of puzzles in it, but that's mostly what I ended up skipping.
Yes.
And a lot of times inadvertently, because the walking sim part was more obvious. We'll get into it, but I do want to know, as a walking sim, did you like this game?
Yes.
So I think that kind of leads into how I would recommend it. If you are a walking sim person, you might really enjoy this game. That is why my $5 is way lower, because I don't enjoy walking sims. Yeah. We've talked about that multiple times. We keep trying. And this one wasn't meant to be. It was kind of inadvertently became one. And I wasn't as happy. It's not terrible, but it's not great.
And it kind of, I don't want to say it lies to you, but when the game starts out, you're like, oh, you're getting this, I got this kind of Bioshock feeling from it, or I got like this kind of puzzle game feeling from it, and then the game just completely flips and changes location, setting, tone, feeling, everything. It's such a weird game. All right, let's just get right into the spoilers for this game, man. This is just such a bizarre game.
I will only recommend it, as I said, if
to
you're
me.
walking to you, definitely, and people who love indie games, people who love walking sims. If you're in it for puzzles, skip this one, honestly, is what I would say.
Or if you have, I would say, don't skip it for puzzles. If you've got some level of self-control where you can force yourself to do the things that you are not asked to do, then do it, because the puzzles are quite interesting and they're quite hard. So I would say the opposite. I would say get it if you're a puzzle fan, because it's got some really hard puzzles. Yes,
hard, but incredibly obscure.
Yes.
And in my opinion, a lot of the puzzles I did felt stupid. Not stupid like, oh, this is so obvious, the code is 1, 2, 3, but a lot of, you have to look everywhere, you have to make random connections for some of these things.
Yeah, and then you pick up an object, and then you put it down to trade it for something somewhere else, and then you think to yourself, oh, where did I leave that?
Yes, there's a lot of that. It's like the Myst style of, oh, just pick up random stuff, but you can only pick up one thing at a time and go back and forth. All right, we need to get into the game.
That's what I'm saying, man. Yeah, let's just go for it.
I'm going to say, he can say, Darren, my friend, can say, play it for the puzzles, but I'm going to say it's not worth it for the puzzles. But we can't really get into it till we start talking about the puzzles. Let's get into it. Here it is, your spoiler warning. We're going to start off. Let's talk about what you refer to as a Bioshock beginning, which I didn't get the feeling of Bioshock, but I very quickly felt I knew what was going on in the story.
I mean, they even have a lighthouse. Like, yeah, it's Bioshock all over it, man.
Yeah, because no other game, Dear Esther, has a lighthouse.
Dear Esther is obviously a Bioshock clone. Yeah.
We're going to have, like I said, the cutscene with some audio.
Lots of audio.
Man leaves a voice message warning against going to an island. And we see, was it like a patient? And then we're going to go into like a lobby with posters talking about reaching memories. And it's almost the propaganda style posters of Portal, but not funny.
Right, yeah.
They're meant to be more serious. And it is called, I believe, Ether, right, is the name of the company.
Yep.
Do you think that they meant this to be Ether 1 and then they were going to make an Ether 2?
No, I don't think so. Definitely not. I think just one after a name sounds cool. Any
is
number.
That it? Because I was a bit baffled as to why they chose to call it Ether 1 instead of just Ether.
I haven't given it any thought. Just numbers after names sounds cool.
Is this the first success that they have?
As a game studio or in-game lore?
In-game lore, this patient.
Well, it's not really a success story at all. They're being shut down, aren't they? And this is their last-ditch effort at keeping the company open and alive.
Well, exactly. So if this is their last-ditch effort, then they probably haven't had success before. So perhaps that is the one?
Maybe.
You are the first success.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in the spoiler section. Obviously, this is going to deal with... We're talking about retrieving memories, and it's going to be dealing with things like senility, dementia, possibly Alzheimer's, all of those kind of things that will affect your mental abilities. Did you catch that we were that person or not? I didn't until towards the end, and then there was like an obvious mistake in the dialogue. Like, I think that they did it on purpose to hint, hey, realize you are the patient, you're not actually.
I got about maybe halfway through it, and then I watched a movie on Netflix that I hadn't seen for a long time, which I can't say because there's spoilers for that movie, and then I was like, oh, they're doing this for that, so...
I didn't, but I also didn't really care.
No, I didn't care either. That's the problem. There's a difference between writing a good story and focusing that and channeling you through it like a walking sim does. So, I like the walking sim aspect of this, but there's a huge problem with it is walking sims will funnel you and they'll give you a sense of an open world, but they'll funnel you through it so you get all the story or 90% of the story. The story is there, and I think it's probably quite good, but it's scattered so far and wide and thin through little audio logs and little bits of paper and little interactions with objects that I never got a full sense of the story or the character. So by the end of the thing, I just didn't care, man.
I think as well, you have the issue of nothing is in order.
Right.
Which would fit a kind of mind that is struggling to maintain itself and to try to retrieve these memories. You only get bits and images and tiny little bits throughout, and none of them connect and they don't make sense. And yes, I understand that, but for us, I mean, this kind of goes back to what Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. I understand that you're trying to make me feel what they're going through, but in a way, for me, you're kind of messing up the story by not giving me the story in a more coherent manner.
But again, at least with that game, you were it was on railroad, wasn't it? So, I mean...
That is true. I mean, that you were going in the order they wanted you to. You couldn't do anything else. This one, in each section, you can find bits of different parts of the story all over the place, and not all of them have to do with your character. You're getting bits that have to do with other random people in the mine.
Got kicked out of a bar, and then what's the big deal about that? I don't know, just some bits.
Was that not his father?
I think so. And again, I don't know who any of these characters are because I just didn't pay attention, man.
Well, his father is definitely an alcoholic.
Yes.
And that, I think, was a reflection of, didn't his mother die or something?
Yes. I assume that dad killed her as well.
I don't think
No?
so.
I mean, she was dead in the house, and the dad was an alcoholic. I thought it was like a...
Oh, well, it could be then.
Because I found... there's a section much later on where there's like the house is like cordoned off with that police tape in the kitchen, so I assumed the mum was dead and she was murdered.
Just to be completely open with the listeners, due to some COVID stuff that's happened recently, we haven't been able to record in like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, and we played this ages ago, and I lost all my notes.
we were ready to record
absolutely
3-4 weeks ago, and so I haven't jumped back into the game.
Yeah,
big surprise.
Yeah, I'll play this again just to refresh my memory.
So there will be bits of that probably I barely understood or barely got the first time. That a month later, yeah, my memory is as hazy as the one in the game.
Right.
So, feel free to leave comments and tell us about the story where we're wrong. We'll just trust you. Well, I will anyway. You go in. Let's do the first section, which is it is very different than the rest of it, but I didn't mind. I understood what we were doing.
Yeah.
You are, in some ways, kind of railroaded here because there are other doors, but they're all locked. You can't get into them.
They're just dead ends. There's nothing in them, yeah.
There's a fun bit with a note about the practical joke, and if you catch that and don't put in the wrong fuse the first time, you get an achievement. I got the achievement, even though I still messed up, because the game didn't teach me how to read each item as I pick it up.
There definitely is something that tells you how to do that somewhere, because
you pick it up. Now, I can pick it up, and it tells me how, if I pick up a note, how to read the note, but it doesn't tell me how to find the description of the item when I pick it up.
It definitely does. Definitely does. But it's a line of like instruction on the page. If you blink, you'll miss it. But it's basically, it'll tell you right at the bottom, and just say, it's not in a note or in an audio log. It's just like, hold down left mouse button to get the information. Because I did it, otherwise I'd be stuck on the first level for ages. But much later on, that comes into play again, and I completely forgot about it. And it's
pretty easy to forget about. Yeah.
It ruined an hour of my game, at least.
There's the check-in at the desk. Oh, I can't get there. Can you just sign in at the thing? And this is where you have the somewhat interesting, somewhat annoying mechanic of writing on things. Because each field you have to click on one at a time. But you can, even from controller, I could switch over to my keyboard and type it instead of using the controller to slowly type things out. I didn't know who I was, though, so I think I just put my name in for that one. And they accepted it. Which means they'll just accept any name.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I found that note, but then all the fuses looked the same, so I didn't know what fuse to put in. So I still put in the wrong fuse, but because I took out the original one, I guess the game was nice enough to give me the achievement.
Right.
But that took me quite a while because I didn't know how to look at the names. Because looking at the names is what tells you, oh, this one's 25, this one's 75, this one's 300. But do that, and then you finally get into what the game actually is.
Yeah, you get into the chair, and then you get zipped into this new world.
Which I think when you get zipped in, you're not in the hub at this point, right? You go straight to what I call the adventure game tutorial.
I think I can't remember. I thought you went straight to the hub, and then you had to walk, because the hub isn't that big. I mean, can we just talk about the hub briefly? Actually,
yeah, we can talk about that now because we do go right to the hub.
Right,
so
yeah.
Let's go and talk about it. You see a painting, restored projector, 0 out of 20 is the first thing you see.
Yeah, it's like a hub where it's got all your stats for the games. It's got your notes for the games that the game deems worthy enough to post for you. And you've got a safe with empty code things like code rings that you have to find in the game. You've got a big map, a projected map on the wall. You've got 4 doors with music boxes, and then you've got like the chair.
Well, you don't know their music boxes.
Not yet, yeah. And then you've got this chair from the Matrix that Neo sits in when he's being told about the Matrix, funnily enough, because that's essentially what this game is, isn't it? But it's a kind of cool mechanic, and they've done it well. It would be rage-inducing if you had to, like, when you go in and out of the world, if you were placed in a different place. They've seamlessly, like, as soon as you get an object that you want to save or keep on the shelves that are behind you, you just, like, press T, you zip out of that world, you can put it down, you can press T again, and it'll take you exactly back to where you were. Otherwise, if this game would be a real mess. But that must have been quite hard to do, to be honest, man. It's well done. That
part is well done, though having to go in and out to get your inventory.
Just have an inventory. I mean, it would get quite big because you can pick up tons of stuff. But if you limited it or give us like a Resident Evil style briefcase with like only X amount of squares in it, then we would learn to like only pick up the useful stuff, and you wouldn't be like me picking up every beer glass in the pub.
The problem is you don't know what's going to be useful. This has a very adventure game logic to it, which is to say very little logic.
Yeah.
So there are some things that make absolute sense, and there are some things that you go, why would that happen? Why would that work?
Yeah, yeah. A hammer that makes sounds on a pipe. Like, do I really need that? Yes, twice.
To make sounds on a pipe? Obviously, I didn't do that puzzle.
There's a puzzle where you have to ring. There's two pipes, there's a copper pipe and an iron pipe, and if you hit them in a like musical note succession, a cart will come down. It was a way of. It must have been a real way of signaling in mines to like, hey, send us more of this stuff, like ding ding dong, like that. It's kind of a 3-tone puzzle thing.
Okay.
And it solves something, but there's a lot of weird stuff in this game.
And this feels to me, at least it felt to me, like it was going to be something amazing. I was very excited at the prospect of finding the dials for the big safe. And what are all these things near? I can't remember if the projector was there right away at the beginning, but all the slots, which you will find out will be film slots for the projector, what's going to be here, and that huge wall of
the map.
Not the map, but I'm thinking of the white light. Sort of like where you'd pop an X-ray up.
Yes.
A light box on the wall, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, wow, there's going to be a lot. And then I didn't do any of it. So, they have it. So, but let's get into what I would refer to as the tutorial section. So we go into the Devlin mine, which I guess is not the mine area that you got lost in a lot.
The mine is so funny as well. I guessed the password of that door. I didn't find it. I lucked into it. That's insane. It's a 4-digit combination lock, and I got it in 3 moves.
All right. So this Devlin mine, there are notes that indicate the mine is going to be shut down and equipment is in desperate need of repairs. There's bad morale everywhere. You need the door code. So if you just look on, there's a plate that says like made in 1670 or something.
Oh, is that what it was? Right.
Yeah. How did you guess 1670?
I don't know.
You're going to see a note that says, if you can, please return the manual on air shaft ventilation, something like that.
Right.
So when you find that, you can put that onto that place on the table, which is it's kind of a cool mechanic, but kind of weird. It's not intuitive.
Yeah.
There's a lot about this game that is not intuitive, but once you do it the first time, then you know to look forward. So all of these little mats, you know from now on, look for that. You can put something on here.
Yes.
And when you do, either something will happen or something will appear. I think this is where the bottle appears.
Or this is a way for you to get something, like to place something somewhere for later kind of thing as well.
So you take this, you put it into the press, crushes it, but leaves you a nice jagged piece that you can use to cut the pipes and get through that section. And then you have to basically turn back around and go back because you need to go to that area where the projector has now gone from being on the ground to, oh, you solved our puzzle. Here's the projector. And you hear the little recording of the psychiatrist, scientist, whatever, who says, I believe is the one about the perfume.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the perfume seems to have helped her memories today. And maybe I'll try again, but with no perfume and see if she can have the same memories. A door opens. And that's why I say this is the tutorial, because a lot of this stuff, you are very streamlined as to where you're supposed to be going.
Mm-hmm.
And you're meant to, you can't do the projector until you've done the other parts. Like everything is a little bit at a time. And then you get to go to, I believe is the first area with the glowing crystals where you have to
break them or something like that?
Yeah, to heal. These are, what did she refer to as? Well, Phyllis is our guide, the scientist, psychiatrist. She is saying that it's like a buildup in the mind that is blocking something. I don't know if there's any real science behind any of this, and I'm not sure I'm really going to give it the credit of that. But you destroy those, and that opens up the passageway, and yeah, then you get sucked out and back to the main area, back to the hub.
So you basically, the game from this point takes two main routes from here. One is you find these ribbons.
Yes.
And those ribbons give you a little bit of extra story. There's 8 ribbons per area. Or, optionally, you can solve these puzzles that are just dotted around, these projector puzzles, which are, you'll find a broken projector in a house or in an area, and usually within that area there's a puzzle, but you don't know what the puzzle is. Sometimes
you need to grab information or items from other places on the map.
Yes, because I had to do the one in the pub was you had to write on a painting the name of the beer and like what year it was from or something like that. Then when you open up the painting, there's a lock, another combination lock. And you had to get that from somewhere else. And of course, I picked that up, was walking around with it for ages, and then was like, nah, I need this thing instead. And I put it down somewhere, so I couldn't remember where I'd put it. So I had to go around the whole island again, backtracking, retracing my steps. And then eventually put it in, and then I was like, oh, I don't know what the combination is. I got it, and then inside there's nothing. It's just like a note that doesn't really do anything. But it solves the... it was a key to the door, and then you get into there, and then there's something else. But I mean, I didn't care. I really didn't care. And so I quickly soured on the puzzles, man, because...
It's funny you say that, because I also quickly did, but mine was the coffee puzzle.
Oh, you made it as far... So you made it a lot further than I did with the puzzles, because the coffee puzzle...
No. I missed a whole bunch inadvertently.
Oh, okay. Okay, right.
Because you may see the projector there, but even then I was a bit stumped as to exactly how that worked or what was going on with that. So I didn't know, if there's a projector, there's a puzzle nearby. As far as I knew, this was a bit mist-like, and the puzzle could be all over the place, the whole island.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just completely lost. I picked up a bunch of things, didn't know if they were important. My shelves were getting full. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I basically found a walkthrough. Somebody very helpfully put a full list of puzzles and many things on one of the Steam discussions.
Okay. With
the black lines across the...
Spoilers?
Yeah.
Spoiler tag things?
So spoiler tags and a series of hints. So that I could try to do it without just being told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the coffee puzzle was the one I looked out for, because I could tell exactly what's supposed to happen here. There's a note that says, I don't start my day without coffee. Something like that. I can see one of those mats on the desk. I know that I've got to get coffee here, but I don't know how to do it. I see the coffee machine. It makes no sense.
2 grains. Only 2 grains.
Only 2 grains. 2 grains of a cleaner, it seems like.
I don't know what that's
I
about.
never put coffee in there, just 2 grains of the cleaner.
Yeah, I've got no idea. I spent 30 minutes making this cup of coffee, man. I just wrote, world's hardest cup of coffee to make. Because I had a cup, but it wasn't the right cup. Because you can't do it with any cup. And
You got to get the one out of the locker, which I did love the secret bottom of the desk drawer.
But it didn't work for me because I couldn't pick up that piece of paper. And so
that would be a nightmare.
So what I did was I got my phone and I took a picture of my screen and then I zoomed in on my phone to try and find the numbers of all those people. I had to go through it because it's got a list of names with locker numbers.
Right, you couldn't pick that up.
I couldn't pick it up.
I could.
Yeah, it was a bug. I eventually picked it up after I solved the puzzle. Because I went back and it's like, oh, now I can pick up this piece of paper. Fat lot of luck that did.
My problem was, you can only hold one thing at a time.
Yeah.
So, pick up the false bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But now, good luck picking up. I had trouble picking up the paper while also having the false bottom.
Oh, maybe that's why I couldn't pick it up.
And so I think what I ended
does our
up
character
doing,
only have one arm then?
Yeah, so I think what I ended up doing was going to the hub, leaving the false bottom, going back, picking up the paper, going back to the hub, swapping them, and then putting it back. Because I didn't want the false bottom on my shelves. My shelf space seemed like it was limited and I didn't want to...
I didn't use the shelves once in the game.
I used them all the time.
Didn't use them at all, man. That's how little I cared about the puzzles in this game. Which is unusual for me because I love puzzle games. But as soon as I found out, oh, this is a game that wants you to treat it like... And it's kind of interesting, is you can treat it as a walking sim or you can treat it as a puzzle game. But it's not telling you have to treat it as a puzzle game. And so, because I didn't find the puzzles interesting at all, I just was like, okay, I'll just take the walking sim route. And that's what I did for the whole game. So I never used the shelves at all, man.
With the coffee puzzle, I felt like one, it's just too adventure game logic.
Yeah.
The instructions are there, but if you're not putting coffee in your coffee, what's the point? It makes no sense.
Maybe you try to poison the warden. Because that was what the cup was, it wasn't it? It was world's best warden.
Yeah, well and it was in that guy's locker because apparently he had stolen it.
Right.
We're not told that, but it's heavily implied, and the guy suggests that as well. So he and I both thought the same thing. I think that's definitely what happened. I was a little... Did you go through and open all the lockers?
Yeah.
Because some of them weren't labeled. So did you have to start just
guessing?
Process of elimination? That just seemed way too complicated to get a projector that gave me a bit of story that didn't really give me much. And it doesn't allow me to progress in the game because it's not necessary. You're taking the 3 reasons I would do this puzzle. Either it's a very interesting puzzle.
Yep, not.
Or it gives me some very good insight into the story, which it didn't. Or you are going to let me progress into the game, but you already do that. So why should I bother?
There's absolutely no point. There's no point. I think it's a great idea, but it's just executed horribly. Like, I'd love to see a game like this where you could choose to do it this way or you could choose to do it that way, but I want the other way to matter because it just doesn't.
I think that we've seen this in some other games. Like, I would say probably things like the Resident Evil games. There are, and Silent Hill certainly, there are bonus things you can do which will give you a different ending.
Okay, yes, like optional puzzles kind of thing. But they've gone for a game filled with optional puzzles. That's weird.
Where that was my incentive for playing.
Right.
And I can't fault them for leaving puzzle as a tag because there are puzzles in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, it doesn't fit the mold of any genre or type or...
Yeah, I mean, can I just give you a few... I wrote down a couple of examples of why I said this is a game of oxymorons, right? One of them is, so it's like, it's got this thing where it's a puzzle game, but it's not a puzzle game. I don't understand how a puzzle game can go out of its way to not be a puzzle game. That's just bizarre. Other things are like, there's just weird bits in it where the voice is American. The voiceover from one of the characters is American, but everyone else is English in the game.
Yes, I did find that a bit disconcerting.
That's weird, right? And also, you get this. There's this one part, and I wrote it down because I was just like, this just would never be said in the UK, and that says, "Mum, M-U-M, Mum says you're grounded." We don't ever say grounded in the UK, so it's like, pick a side. Like, what's going on with this game? Why are you going out of your way to confuse me?
Well, how would you say it?
We wouldn't say grounded. We just say you're not going out or something like that. Like we don't have a word for grounded. Grounded's a really American term that we've kind of absorbed. But it's like,
well, you've absorbed it now, but you wouldn't have used it back in.
Not when I was a kid, for sure,
and certainly not whenever this is meant to take place.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, what else did I write down here? I've got, it's the easiest hard game that I've played. It's a puzzle game with no puzzles. It's a walking sim with no rails. So an open world walking sim just doesn't work. It's entirely predictable, but I'm still not really sure who any of the characters are or even anything about them, and I don't care about them at all. All of the information is just scattered everywhere. So it's like, it was just impossible for me to keep up. And then at the end of my thoughts there, I was thinking, are they trying to simulate dementia by confusing me so much?
I definitely think that, like I said before, I think the story bits, the way that they give them to you, I think is meant to reflect that. Though you definitely get some... Another thing that confuses you, it's a bit like... Have you ever watched the movie Source Code?
Yeah.
One of the problems I have with Source Code is that as the character is designed to go back in through sort of the memories of the people who are there, the character is seeing things that none of those characters would have seen.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't make any sense to me. That seems impossible. That is much like what this feels like to me.
Right.
There are all sorts of notes and things around the village that I just think he would never have seen.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand. And all the voiceover stuff is coming from, like, most of it comes from Gene. But it should be Gene as an adult, but it sounds like Gene is like a 8-year-old.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense to me. That's incredibly confusing. Now, they very well may have known each other then, but I believe at the end were to imply that a lot of the recordings that we were hearing of Gene were stuff that she left, that she recorded, not as an 8-year-old, but as an adult, after she had found him. So that doesn't make any sense to me. I believe the young voice that's left on the voicemail system or machine, whatever, that's probably his son?
I think so, yeah.
But we don't really get anything about children.
There's a school later on, which was...
Yeah, but that's where
he went to school, isn't it? Or
where
something like that.
Tom and Gene went to school.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with his kids, as far as I know. I do think somewhere that it may have said that he moved to the US, maybe.
Right.
So the memories would be from childhood and being in the UK. But Phyllis, she sounds British, doesn't she? Yeah, and that's the confusing part. I think if she sounded American, then the rest of it would kind of
make a bit more sense. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of it. I was playing the whole game just going, this is, and I've sent you a number of messages going, this is just a really weird game.
Just a really weird walking sim, yeah.
And it's not weird like a fuzzy dungeon or whatever weird indie thing you're doing. It's just unusual game development choices that I find that more puzzling than the puzzles in the game.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the puzzles in the game as well are, like, you know when you go to an escape room and it's just basically, oh, here's a lock, open this lock. I'll give you a code to another lock. Oh, here's a key for a lock. Oh, here's a code for another combo lock. That's what this game feels like. It's just like endless combination locks. There's no real development of puzzles. There's a few interesting puzzles in the game, but mostly it's just like combo locks or like, okay, so the one interesting puzzle which actually really frustrated me and drove me bananas was the post office puzzle. So in one of the houses, there's an order on the table and it says he needs to order one more thing. And if you go upstairs, there's a box, and it's all the Mayflower, the Mayday, the Morris dancing kit.
They need Mayday bells.
Right.
I found the stamp. I found that that's what I needed. But this is where that mechanic of you need to write the information in. Is there an exact phrase I need to put here? Because in the schoolhouse, in the village, there's one that was pretty straightforward.
Right. Was that the one we had to write on the blackboard, the name of the book?
You have to put the name of the book, and you have to put the
spelling, the word test.
The word test, the one that they all got wrong.
I couldn't find that. Did you find it?
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. I got the name of the book.
So if you look at the wall,
yeah,
the items are all in these little cubbies in order. And so you get to the last one, and it's a spanner.
Oh, God.
Which I had trouble because we don't use that word. So
another weird
How do
thing.
I spell this?
Yeah.
That's one where I forgot about, I can look at the item. Took me a while, and then looked at the item. Okay, there we go. Because it was a weird thing where I thought I'd spelled it right, but it hadn't worked, so I must have spelled it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
How else could I have spelled it? It is spelled as it sounds. So, phonetically, I got it. It's a spanner.
I did the playground thing outside. I did the knots and crosses thing outside.
That's a tic-tac-toe for everyone else.
Yeah. So I did that, and I got the name of the book.
Okay, but this is another time where I do that. I know it's on the sign not too far away, and but I never got a piece of chalk to do it with.
Okay.
You just start clicking on it, and it works.
Yeah, exactly. So what was my point? My point was that So back to the post office thing. There's an order form, and it's the same thing. I spent so long typing in bell, Maybell, Morris dancing.
One bell.
Yeah, one.
Even though it's not one bell, it's one set of bells.
Yeah,
but one set of bells I think does not fit. I think I tried that.
So what it is that stupid bloody mechanic where you have to hold down and look at the item because he says he's got one of them but he needs two, and so it's upstairs. And those little ankle bracelet bell things, they're called baldricks. And so you have to type in baldric.
Okay. And that's why I didn't solve that one then.
And then so you take that, then you post it in the post office. The item immediately arrives. You go in the post office, you get it, you put it on the table, you get a little thing. It's like, that drove me. That was about the point where I realized, like, this, I'm done with this game. I'm done with these puzzles. I can't say that. That was the point where I realized, like, I am done with these puzzles, man. Nah. If it's optional and I don't have to put myself through this, why bother? Nah.
I did try a few others. So one of the ones that bothered me was the church bells. I really wanted to get the church bells to work.
I totally missed that.
There's a piano that needs tuned. I was able to do that. But there are some things that I think you have to do the piano tuning before you can get to that one. And the same thing with the school. You have to do the painting room. You have to do the knots and crosses to get the paintbrush to go in to paint on the empty wall.
Right.
Which allows you in some way to get behind there. And behind there is the time capsule, which you need the code for. And here's one where you actually need the code from a different map.
Oh, wow.
You need to go back to the harbor to get that one if you didn't write it down somewhere, which I didn't.
Right, okay.
Because it's some important date in their lives. That's the code, so you need to get it. And there's not a lot in there. It's this message saying, well, if you found this, we left this as a token of our love. It's Tom and Jean, I believe. And there's a song. So you need that song to play on the piano. And also that song is what you need. I never did open up all the ropes, but apparently you can ring the bells in order to make the song. And then that will fix the projector in the church.
Wow, I tuned the piano, and then I was like, then I tuned out, man. It was like, that was it.
That part of my problem. If I need to bounce all over like that.
And not really even knowing what is significant in an area or what, like, kudos to the guy that wrote that walkthrough, man. Holy moly. It's like, because that would have taken months to write, to put everything together. Which is why this is a good puzzle game in a sense, like, if you've got the discipline. Because there's no reward for it.
I definitely got the impression from some of the message that he added to bits and pieces.
So it's like a community effort kind of thing?
There's a little bit of that. Saying, oh, I got some solutions from here and here and here. I didn't get them all on my own. Fair play, fair dues. I appreciate that. But also, in the time capsule bit, he's like, well, after you've wiped your eye after that sweet moment. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't feeling that. But I think that there are some people who have gone through the whole thing who may feel more for these characters. Or maybe just people who are more in tune with it, or who are much easier to dive into characters and add more story of their own. They are filling in the gaps themselves. I don't really. And that means that I enjoy a lot of things less than other people, I believe.
Because I do that usually. I definitely do that. I put myself in the role of that person.
And I was expecting that of this one. I thought you were going to fill in the gaps. You were going to say how beautiful their story was. And I appreciated it. It was okay, but it was missing a lot for me. And it didn't really get me into those characters.
Yeah.
But apparently it didn't for you either, which surprises me.
Yeah. And again, as I was playing, I surprised myself playing this game where I was like, because I've been saying this for years, like, let's play this, let's play this, let's play this. And finally we were like, okay, let's do it. And I was really looking forward to it, and I was just so disappointed.
You normally fill in the gaps. I mean, that's part of where we started this podcast with was, what are you seeing that I'm not? What are you adding? So one, what are you adding that the game doesn't actually have, or the movie doesn't actually have?
Yeah.
Or two, what am I missing because I'm not adding something to it? Where am I missing?
But I don't know. I just felt that it was just too fragmented. So I couldn't keep up. I couldn't follow it. And in the end, I just ended up like, I just didn't care. I don't want to use those cliche words like engaging story, but it just wasn't. It was missing something for me. It's all well voice acted. I mean, the voice actors did a great job. The scene was, the setting was great. I loved the area that we were in. I liked the smoothness of gameplay, moving around, the ability to sprint, everything in the game. The game can't be faulted for that. It was just the way that the vehicle for the information was just didn't do for me, man. It didn't do it. And it if you want it to be a detective style game, then make it a detective game. But like you said, if it is a game, if it's supposed to be confusing me because it's a game about dementia, or I'm playing a character with dementia, then mission accomplished. Well done. You confused the hell out of me. But in the end, it made me just not. It was too difficult for me to keep up, and so I gave up.
There's some other things about the game that did kind of irritate me. I don't like real historical people being thrown in, and Alexander Graham Bell and his work on the telephone apparently was there. Well, his workshop, A. Bell, and the notes talking about how he's trying to work on communications.
I didn't even put that together, man. I just looked at it as Bell, like a guy. Okay, yeah, A. Bell. I did not make that connection at all. That's how little I looked into this game, man. It's like, and also, like, really? Did you solve the thing with the puzzles with the boys outside? Like the flashing lights, like ding, ding, ding. It's like, do they always look like that? It's like, it's a combination thing. You gotta, they're all floating in the harbor. And so when they roll over with the waves, they'll light up or something like that. And it's like, so they constantly do that?
I don't think I even saw that one.
Okay.
Well, if you want to ask that, let's get into the puzzles I did attempt.
Okay.
Again, with the walkthrough, because I was not going through any of these on my own, because I didn't want any of these situations where, I'm going to have to go back to this map and go back to this one. I'm not dealing with any of that. The church I was working on, but then I think there was one point where I couldn't anymore. I really tried in the cider house. There was a way to pick up apples and drop them in, and that looked interesting, but after a while, I just got frustrated and gave up. There was the puzzle with the Morse Code. That one I definitely wanted to do, and I did. Urgent, stop. Need doctor, stop. Send help now, stop. And then the response is just a piece of paper, I think, that you have to feed in, which I was very disappointed with. Because I thought I was actually going to have to somehow type it out or do something.
Because you do have to type out, you get pieces of paper that you can put into the typewriters and type out messages.
Well, maybe you do. Maybe you have to type it out and then... No, I don't think so.
Because did you find those typewriters where there's like a blank sheet of paper?
Yes, which is another thing that is very not intuitive at all. But then once you do it the first time,
it's okay. Yeah.
You kind of understand. Yeah. Put paper in, hit type, and then
Keep
magically, keep typing. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't, honestly, my list of puzzles, you've already beat me on puzzles, man, because I solved I think I did 3 projectors in total, man.
But I think that you finished more projectors, because the projectors were often not just one puzzle, but multiple puzzles to get the projector.
Oh wait, I've got to check. I've got an achievement for puzzles because you get 1 for every 5. So I think I've done 5.
You've probably done more than me as far as projectors, because I would only do what I felt like doing and then stop. Like, I believe the coffee was not the whole thing.
No, part of it. Yeah.
There was a thing where you had to find these pills. And you had to smash the weak point in the shower, to smash the wall, to get behind there, to grab the pills, to throw them away so they don't poison anybody.
Right.
And then something.
Well, you're working in an arsenic mine anyway. You have plenty of poison already.
Well, and that's why you could easily throw it away, because there are all the arsenic dumps.
Right.
But those convoluted things, you don't have the fun of adventure games.
No.
At least with adventure games like your Monkey Islands or Grim Fandango, there's a lot of funny bits that go along with it. There's nothing funny here. And it's not the moving story that I want it to be. So which I just feel like we're repeating ourselves over and over again.
Yeah, we have to cut half of this.
But that's the problem with the game, is you go through this cycle of, all right, new area, let me see what they've got. There's got to be something interesting. All right, it looks good. Map is confusing, but I'll figure it out eventually.
Oh man, that mine was horrible, man, getting through that area.
And there's always that promise of, oh, okay, now I'm going to do something else. Like when I finally got to the point where I picked up the lantern, and it took me a while to fix the plaque.
Right, yeah.
Because you have to stand in exactly the right spot to do it. And I had moved from that spot. So I didn't know. And I thought, oh, maybe I have to be standing right in front of it. So I went all the way back around to try to fix it. No. Find the video that shows somebody doing this. Oh no, I had to be in that exact spot. Go all the way back around. It said, hold this button, and it will work.
You just point. I just made sure the crosshairs were on the plaque. It doesn't matter where I stood. Or at least it didn't feel like it mattered where I stood.
It didn't for you. Apparently, it did for me. I cannot tell you how long I stood there in different places trying this. Thinking, what is wrong with the game?
And when I got that lantern, I was like, oh, yes, something cool. And you use it about, I don't know, I used it about 3 times.
You need to use it until you've fixed all of them, because you're going to get your lantern that you're holding will get a ribbon around it if you get all of them.
I thought you got the ribbon if you collected all the bows. Is that not what it is?
Oh, maybe it is. But there's a certain number to do.
Because I finished... No, I didn't finish the game. I did finish the game. I finished the game, and I was like, all right, I'll just go back in and I'll find the extra ribbons. And then when I went back in, and I went back through the areas and I got the last ribbon, it's like, oh, my lantern's got all ribbons around it. That's nice. But I think it's because I found all the ribbons.
Can you finish the game without finding all the ribbons?
Yeah.
I guess you must, because I totally skipped the mine section altogether.
I skipped an entire section as well. And one weird thing that I wanted, it's not in my notes because I lost my notes, but one thing that I noticed was I skipped a whole area and I went right for the end game. So there's 4 areas, yeah? There's 4 main areas.
4 main areas. And
so I did 2 of them, and then when I finished the second one, they're like, oh, now you can go here. But they'd expected me already to have... It was almost like they had expected me to do this one. But I was like, but I didn't have to do that because I was here. I could pick where I wanted to go. And so when I went back to this area to go and collect the ribbons from it, it didn't give me any story. All the story had finished. So every time I picked up a ribbon, I was waiting for Phyllis's... Is it Phyllis?
Yes.
Yeah. I was waiting for Phyllis's voice to come in, but just silence for collecting all the ribbons.
Well, there is a way, I think, if you do everything, you get a better ending of some sort.
Okay. Well, maybe I should go back and try and finish it again then. But honestly, I don't care. I really don't.
Well, maybe you could just look it up. I'm sure somebody's put it up somewhere. Yeah,
exactly.
There was the puzzle I did with the clinic. There was a clinic where you have to basically find the time and person, put their name in the appointment slot, and then that opens up the doctor's office. So the door is locked until you type that in. I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't find this at all. It's in the village, which for me was the final section. But after doing the village for a bit, I realized I had somehow skipped the mines altogether. And I think I sent you a message saying, when am I supposed to do the mines? Yeah. You were saying, oh, I did it after. I did it second. But I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah. What were the mines like? Better than the industrial complex kind of place, because that was an absolute nightmare to navigate. I was getting really frustrated in that place because it's not like it's just a maze top down. If you imagine a maze, it's like, imagine a maze top down, but it's got stairs going up over each other. It's like a 3D maze. Yes. I was, getting really hacked off with that place. There were a number of times where I could see a ribbon but couldn't see how to get to it. Right. There was one place where you can jump down, but the stairs are broken, so you can't go back up. I also was... Okay, so 2 puzzles in there. The one that was obvious, fix the pressure on the valves. I did that. Yeah. There was one that seemed like it was a musical puzzle of some sort for each area, which totally beyond me. That's got to be one that there's 12 steps to get to. Right. But the simple one about the math, even you said you got it at first. Oh, and then I broke it. It has to equal 18. But then I broke it too, because the thing is, I thought I had to do it for each area. Me too. And try it a second one, and the whole thing explodes. And then I thought, well, maybe that's why I didn't get to go to the mine, because I broke that machine. No. The mine was actually... It had an interesting little mechanic. So you remember in the industrial place where you've got that pressure gauge for each hole kind of thing, like the arsenic hole or whatever it was called. So you put in the digits. You've got that, but imagine that, but it's an elevator, and it takes you... It fuzzes up your vision, so you go to 720 fathoms, and then the map changes. And then you're in a new area. You go to 400 fathoms, you're in a different area. But again, I just got bored, and then I left because I collected all the ribbons, and then I was like, right, I'm done. I'm out. Oh no, I'd already finished the game by this point. That's right. So I got the ribbons around my lantern, and then I just hit escape. Oh, and exiting this game. Come on, guys. We've talked about this. Don't make me press 10 buttons to get out. Like, press escape, press OK, go back to main menu, press OK, exit game. It's like there's 6 steps to exit the game. Yes, it's very frustrating, though in their defense, our podcast was not out when they were making the game. So hopefully from now on, they won't make that mistake.
Or anyone, just stop that. It's easy just to alt whatever out of the game, just shut it down manually. Just Control Alt Delete. But should we talk about the rooms with the camera flash?
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about what I refer to as the ghost rooms.
What were you thinking?
There seem to always be 3 things that you need to take a picture of. The first one I did this for, I was absolutely baffled as to what I was supposed to be doing. And even, I think, what button I was supposed to press for the camera. Flash, everything, like taking pictures, but nothing. And then, there's something that actually stands out. Take a picture of that, and that appears. Yeah, I think it's an interesting mechanic that could be used in the right way, but in this one, it just didn't feel like it.
I mean, we've had this mechanic in plenty of other games before, but never in a walking sim, and never, like, why is there no end to it? You just wander around until you think, all right, I think I've found everything, and you go back out the way you came in. That's dumb. Like, have an ending so that I know that I've got everything.
We're also missing something. So, for example, the birthday one, great. I see a picture fraction of the world when you take the picture of the present, of the cake, of, I think, the camera.
Right.
And that's it. Great. That doesn't really add anything to my story here. But I think the notes you get around that are supposed to add more, but I didn't really.
I think I know why you don't remember the crime tape scene, because you didn't finish the mine. That'll be why.
I found one that had a crime tape scene.
Okay. Because if you have to finish all the ribbons to open those doors.
Maybe so I didn't get as much of it, but there was one where something clearly had gone wrong.
Gone wrong, yes. Even those places, like, okay, the mechanic is silly. Like, do I really have to walk around flashing things? Sounds a bit weird, but
I know, and I already said it.
But yeah, we'll walk around like pointing a camera at things to take pictures of it. Like, who am I now? Am I a police investigator? Am I taking photographs of a crime scene? Because it felt like that sometimes. Is that a metaphor for shining light in a dark place of, like, where your brain is all foggy with dementia?
I saw it as dementia, but I saw it more as this is what it might feel like. You can remember only really bits and pieces,
right.
But that's kind of how we all remember things. We don't remember the entire day bit by bit. We just remember the highlights of what was important to us or what was emotionally strong for us. But the way that you're walking around in the fog and only little bits are clear, that to me felt like metaphor for this is dementia. And I was okay with that. But the fact that it doesn't really lead to anything is a bit of an issue. And I really think maybe it's time that we stop kind of like beating the dead horse and get towards the end if you're up.
I was just about to say, to the lighthouse.
All right. There have been, throughout the game, times where we end up in this room that's this kind of study lounge. There's always one message in it, which again, I think is from the sun. You need to know that before we jump into the final area. You basically, I really didn't quite understand what was going on in this ghost house. And I got really stuck in this ghost house for a long time. You take a picture of an orphanage document, and that takes you to like a huge bunk room in what's probably the orphanage, and you see the teddy bear on the bed. You take a picture of the bed. There's another one where you can take a picture of a chest which fills with toys. And like you take a picture of a tree which creates a chest, which is where I was stuck for ages because okay, is that it? Am I supposed to open the chest? I couldn't really figure that one out.
Kind of thing, yeah. Yeah.
With this one, though, all of the areas you're supposed to take a picture, I believe, had the red ribbon. But yeah, for a long time in my notes, I said, I have no idea what to do. Am I supposed to return to the hub? Okay, I'm going to try that. Am I done with the ghost house? I guess. Question mark, because I was very confused what I was supposed to be doing. In the hub, the plaque on the floor moves once you've done all the right pictures. So yes, you do have to go to the hub. A pedestal forms. You place your lamp on it. The lamp clings to the map. It like jumps to the map, and a sort of portal opens up. Now you're very walking sim. Now you are, because you're on rails. Yeah. You're going to just walk up the lighthouse steps in the rain as Phyllis is going to give exposition. She's already given some exposition about the project is going to be closed down. This is our last chance. The reason I'm doing it is because my sister was diagnosed with an early age with dementia, and she died at age 39. I'd like to prevent that. I get more about Phyllis' story, I feel, than I do about Tom and Jean. Yeah. But there was one point in the village where she says something about, you know how we are, Thomas. And I'm like, oh, am I Thomas? All right, that's an interesting twist, I guess. But since I didn't really care that much about Jean, I don't know. Why am I hearing so many of Jean's memories then? And why is Jean 8 years old? I don't understand most of this. But as we're going in the final, we're walking up in the rain. There's a bunch of exposition. I'm not your enemy. Let go of this dream world. You're going to enter that fireplace room, the study. Phyllis says you need to hold on to the memories of her. You go up a spiral staircase where I think things start falling apart. Jean is waiting for you at the top. Jean screams. I think that's when the place starts to crumble. Right. And Thomas is knocked out of the building and into the water. We change over. We emerge from the water. And in the dream home that forms around a TV. So we're now in that kind of ghost house again. Yeah. We click on the ghostly images to get exposition from Jean. The mother left. The mother wasn't killed. The mother left. Okay. Or at least that's the story Jean says. The father was drunk. We knew that. We knew that multiple times by now. Thomas ran off. Jean found him years later in a care home. Yeah. So when they were in love, they must have been still kids, like teenagers or something. Yes?
I guess so. Yeah. Okay.
The memories aren't happy, but they shaped things. This is what we are told. The lighthouse plaque now reads Thomas Fletcher. So we know that's our name as our character. We sit in the chair and rise to light up as there's a recording of Dr. Phyllis and Thomas. Like there's this recording that plays. She has a lamp. It was important to Jean. Actually, it wasn't important to her. It was important to him. She kept it all those years, this lamp. Right. And that's why it's so important in all of his images and his visuals. And then it closes just on the music box, which I believe was something that he gave to Jean, and it was important to her. And then the music plays, and then you just kind of fade out, and that's the end.
Right. I definitely got a second ending then, because the one where you're going up in the rain, you get to play that again, but it's all sunshine, and you get to go up to the top again, and something different happens. So I do remember that.
Maybe you got that for having all the ribbons.
All the ribbons, yeah, maybe. Maybe that's the good ending. So I don't remember. I don't remember. I really. Hang on a second. Let me just flip this page. No, there's nothing on the back of that. So yeah, there you go. Ether 1. What a. I'm glad I played it. Just to get it out of the way.
Is that the only reason you're glad you played it?
I mean, I'm glad I played it because it's been on my list for a long time. It's been on our list for a long time. And I'm glad that I've seen what it is. Otherwise, if I'd not played it, I'd still be going, oh, this game's going to be really good. I'm glad I played it. If you like this game, more power to you. But as someone coming from someone that loves puzzle games, loves story games, loves walking sims, this game failed on every front for me, man. And I can't believe it. I'm shocked.
I am as well. I'm not surprised that I didn't like it, but I'm very surprised that you didn't. And I think you've kind of summed it up. I think normally this is the part where I want to do some sort of summary conclusion, but I feel like we've done it already. Yeah. So, much like you, if you enjoyed it, I am so happy for you. I would try something else they do and hope that it would be better. Mm-hmm. But I have no desire to finish Ether 1.
Gaps filled or more gaps created.